Okay, let's get started. Thanks for coming. We have a very special colloquium today. It's a pleasure to come and introduce Dr. Ramesh Kumar. He's retired from National Institute of Oceanography in Goa, where he was the chief scientist. And he did his PhD also from Goa University and has been part of this oceanography studies for many years, published on many papers, etc. And then his driving interest, as I understood, is actually science out. That is why he's here. He spent the entire day moving around, talking about, etc. But I thought, as colloquium coordinator, that despite his interest in science outreach, we should take advantage of his interest in science as well, and try to hear about something that we normally don't get to experience here. We are focused on astronomy, astrophysics talks usually. So this is a slightly different topic, but I hope it is interesting and very interesting to me. So he has done a lot of work on various aspects of Indian oceans, and this is what he will tell us about.
Thank you, Asim, for actually a brief introduction. And Pune has always been very this one. For example, let me start with IUCAA. After my sixth scientific expedition to Antarctica, I was invited by Professor Jen Narlikar to give a talk on whether Antarctica is a good place to do astronomy. I said positively yes. So that is one of the first instances of actually with IUCAA. And another is actually my son-in-law's this one. It's actually related to Kula Deshpande and Sundar Deshpande. So today morning only, Samir was mentioning that there is actually some, they have invested on authorities. I have actually two connections with IIT. And let me talk about Monsoon. This my guru, let me say, is Ananda Krishnan, who was the deputy director of meteorology, Pune office in Shivaji Nagar. And he also was later the director of Indian Institute of Optical Meteorology. So I have greatly benefited him. The Vagaries in Monsoon, the topic, the title has been given to me for my PhD thesis, where I had registered in Cochin University. It's Ananda Krishnan used to travel 2.5 days from Pune to Cochin on a train called Jayanti Janata. Not now, good old days. Talking about late 70s, 78, 79. We have 79 we used to come to Cochin University, stay there for a couple of weeks, then come back again. But later, so I registered, unfortunately, I couldn't complete. So I shift from the topic to surface heat budget of the oceans. Till joining NIU, I always thought it's the atmosphere which plays a very important role of the monsoons. So after joining NIU, the oceans can play, especially on the monsoons, etc. I'll come to that later. I also wanted to focus on several people. Swapna is currently at IITM. She has actually done a little bit of ensemble modeling. And she was also at NIU. Peter Schlossel is again from Germany. He was instrumental in fire association. Now from the side. She was at Goa, now currently she's in New York. Totally changed from science to maybe a lawyer. Shyam Shankar is my first PhD student. Currently he's in IMD New Delhi. Anu Bhav, again, research assistant. Nisan is, I would call a Benami PhD student. There are a lot of Benamis. I don't know what, so she is a Benami PhD student. So this is a section from South Africa. Dr. Krishnan was actually the earlier director of IITM. And Shivananda Pai again is actually from IMT or maybe now currently is actually CRS. Now he's also with New Delhi. I have a lot of collaborations with so many people, so many students. So Professor Ananda Krishnan encouraged me to work on various aspects, including remote sensing. Let me stress again and again. In fact, I wanted to stress and maybe give. We have a lot of collaborations with the various people. So this is, I'll give to Asim. This is actually what we got HIAS. Hamburg Ocean Atmosphere Parameters. This is what I had done. I was just explaining to him. I will just explain it to you again once again. Why do we need satellite data? So if you take actually like India, and we know something from here, Gulf countries to maybe Mumbai or whatever by cargo ships. Remember, when we go, or maybe even our research vessels, if you go, and we have actually what we call a 5 degree, or maybe a 10 degree by 10 degree creek. So the ship travels only along that small cruise track. That's a cargo research vessel or a research vessel. It goes along only along that particular track. So when you see a monthly mean, it neither represents the month. For example, July 2025 or maybe June or whatever. It represents only on the days when the ship has traveled in that particular grid. And it does not cover the rest of the grid also. You got my point. So it's actually ridiculous to say it's a monthly mean. It is neither representative of the month nor representative of the grid, and then still they say monthly mean. So this I got bogged down because I did my PhD using a thing called finger climate data, finger climate data. So this was actually the data which was brought down by Mr. Satish Shetty long back when he came actually from Washington University to India. So this was actually data set which I used for my PhD thesis. That's actually surface heat budget of the Indian Ocean. But then later when I started working, and a lot of people like say Professor P.V. Joseph, and this one, he was at IMT. He also prepared for the Indian Ocean. So basically, we don't have a data over the ocean. And unless there's a data over the ocean, what we'll talk about. And even if there's a data, we have only 4 observations. Say, for example, June, July, August, and September. So this is actually very meager or nothing, especially from the monsoon point of view. You get actually a grid of 10 degree or maybe 5 degree or whatever and get one CSFS temperature value or whatever wind value. It's ridiculous. So we need sub-monthly value. That's how I started actually looking at the Hoyat's data set. So that was actually a collaboration with Peter Schuster. He actually published a paper. I'll show you a little bit later. And also that is how we start. So this is something. So there's a climate change. 25 years now. 25 years back. So first I was at Ludwig Maximilian University. Then I was actually at DLR, Cologne, where I stayed actually in Bonn. And the last was actually Max Planck Institute for Meteorology, Hamburg. So actually this FIAP stands for actually Hamburg Ocean Atmospheric Parameters and Properties from Satellite Data. So I would say this is the first time this is actually used using satellite data. I can be proud of that. And this is actually published as a technical report by the Max Planck. So I will leave this to Asim. Anybody who is interested. There is a data set in NetCDA format and also the atlas, which is actually monthly values. So let me continue. Why I get pushed is so actually over here, according to the IPCC reports, long back, most of the radiation, solar radiation is trapped actually goes into the ocean. But the ocean is a major driver, especially from the weather and climate point of view. Okay, and especially the top 3 meters of the ocean. So the tropical and subtropical regions hold as much heat as the entire region. So I will won't go into the details, unlike the atmosphere. And not only that, response to ocean and atmosphere are totally different. The atmosphere is much more dynamic. The ocean is a bit sluggish. It stores data and releases data. So that's also make it easier or maybe instrumental actually in predicting so many things. Okay, so you can see these are the various things you can see. And this is the answer I want to. The most interesting thing here you can see is actually we didn't have any data on oceans. In fact, our institute itself, the National Institute of Oceanography, was started thanks to a thing called International Indian Ocean Expedition. They call it IIOE from 1961 to 1965. Several countries, almost 20 countries from all over the world, started looking at Indian Ocean and then started. That is, getting data, bringing their own ships and looking at what Arabian Sea, their control and stuff. That's how we got data on oceans. Once we have data, basically, if you can get over here, with the advent of actually our rovers, like I don't know how many of you have seen a radios. Radios are actually measures the temperature. Similar way, we have actually rovers, which actually measures temperature, salinity at the various depths and goes and stays almost 2 kilometers, 2,000 meters. Again, it pops up after 10 days and gives the data, which is captured by the RO satellites and transmitted to the various systems. You can see from 2000 onwards, till that time, the global coverage was almost next to nothing. This is one way. And further to that, with intelligence. The satellite gives only at the surface, whereas this, unless you go by a ship we go and stay in a place and collect data at various levels. Not only physical oceanography, chemical oceanography, biological oceanography, people also geological oceanography. So many things we do simultaneously. We stay in a station for about 5 to 6 hours. So you can see This has started coming only in the year 2000 thanks to this artifice, and the global coverage is substantially increased. Thanks to yeah. Why did the global reduce? See, what is the meaning of reduction? It's not reduction, sir. It increased from 2000. See, this is actually the global coverage. I mean, no. This is actually the depth, sir. The ground curve for is 99. Ground curve tips. Which one? This one? 90,000. Oh, yeah. Significantly. So I was thinking, like, what is the meaning of like coverage once you have the data and have the data? But it's
That is data for that year.
Yeah.
It's data for that year. It's not cumulative data.
Anyway, let me tell you, I have essential things. Lead authors of both contributing. Say, and anyway, no issues. So this actually, as you said, see, there can be so many. See, basically, data on the ships, as you said. Let me tell you, we have our own business. This business was not actually Ramesh. It was actually started way back in 1975, and then we got another business. So it was actually led by German. Was the okay. So basically, the dip in the I resigned. No issues. So maybe it can be a number of reasons. No, I got it. I got you. What you mentioned is actually like this.
When you say
Maybe see.
say global coverage, India of the
Basically, both are. When we say measurements, we have actually different types. This one is also coverage. See, let me put it this way, for example. We come over here. It's easier for me to explain this in a cardboard. See, for example, we have a point over here. Whenever a research vessel goes or a cargo ship goes, that is I would call as observation for that particular this one, for that particular one. And let me tell you, each day of a ship costs 15 lakh rupees, whether you like it or not. It's not only the fuel. You need a captain, chief officer, chief engineer, blah, 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 in addition to the scientists. So getting data over the ocean is not easy. And unlike the land, we don't have actually things over the ocean. So the more, see, basically we had actually more observations over the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. Compared to the, in Indian Ocean, we have hardly any other than carrying us. We didn't have the research vessels. So I said, we started way back in 1st January 1966. Right. There are the ships, you remember? Later we started. Now, the other day I was just saying, all the ships are not actually the ship. If you want to go to the southern waters, south of 60 degrees north, we need a double hull vessel ice breaking. Anyway, we come back to this.
So one ship which is in the ocean, how much area it can like map?
Oh, that's also a good question. Maybe I should give you something.
Because if it is like area covered, then that would be limitless, right?
Sir, let me answer it this way. You know what is the speed of the ship, by the way? How fast does a ship go? Anytime you have thought? It goes very slowly for your information. It not tracks only maybe 9 knots or what, or even less. Don't think actually the ship is like your 120 kilometers or like your this one or BMW or what. It goes very, very slowly and we stops in between, slowly collects data and this one. So anyway, I don't mind giving me a nice picture for stuff for good to see. No, question. I always carry a place. Paisa, insurance. Unfortunately, I didn't get the time to get paisas. I usually give it the next around questions. And I want to picture who starts living. Let your one time enemies, icebergs, and nine also. And the visionary, now is in the Zema Navy. Picture how actually important. This I will give to only the top people. वैसा नहीं दे दूंगा. The prize position. I also used to give Antarctica roots and penguin feathers. वो नहीं लाया है. So there are actually 3 books available. And I also put a stamp exhibition. So they can give actually stamp collectors for beginners. And no doubt these are the and the first director of NIO, NK Panikar is the customer also. Anyway, so basically we have hardly any data for fishes. In addition to we have actually now buoys. I don't know who have actually heard about buoys. Why is buoys? They call it the drifting buoy, mood buoys. You can see how the ships and so if you, when we talk of monsoon on a large scale, we can think of actually like nothing more than actually land and sea system. In fact, I have gone to Antarctica. It's basically because I said the ice coverage or the sea cover of Antarctica plays a very important role in the area of massacring time from 50 degrees south. It is a high pressure over here, 30 degrees south, and we have a giant low pressure system from May to October. This is like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and this area. It's like the Jacoba Warren place here. And there is a huge low pressure area over here and high pressure over here. Winds flow from high pressure to low pressure. Thanks to Coriolis effect, they turn into crystallized and some crystallized. This is in a simple term what we call monsoon of solar surface. So this monsoon is important why? Because 70 to 90% of our mean annual rainfall comes from this form. And monsoon is important for your drinking water, hydrological, agriculture. Nowadays we reduce this one of actually agriculture, we are into services sector. Still, drinking water is important. Still, I have a tanker pump here, like in Bangalore or maybe place like say Goa. So, important. So, this is actually what I want to stress again. Now, things have changed in a global warming or this one. The gradient between the land and the ocean is actually decreasing. And again, another important thing is actually what we call warm. In the ocean, when the temperatures are above 28 degrees Celsius, this area is actually what we call it. In the month of January, most of the world is actually south of the equator. You can see this is actually the Pacific Ocean, this is the Indian Ocean, you can see. When you go to the June, that's the peak monsoon winds. Then they are actually so what was actually the southern hemisphere? And they are shifted to the northern hemisphere. This plays an important role in conduction, conductivity, moisture transport, blah blah blah. So this is very important. This is something the role of the ocean again and again is actually important for us. What are the point x and y axis? It's not okay. It's actually this. This is actually the longitudes. Zero you can see.
There is India there is America here.
And here is actually 30 degrees south to 30 degrees.
That is Africa on the left.
And this actually. Yeah, this actually temperatures sometimes 28 degrees Celsius. So that's what I think is warm. Warm is an area where the temperatures are more than 28 degrees Celsius. It's actually important from the convection point. We'll get a chance of getting more moisture pumped into the atmosphere. And it can actually give rise to actually clouds. So this is actually the month of January. If you look at July, entire warm has actually shifted to the north of the equator. So it's south of the equator. What dip? No, this is on its surface. I'm talking sea surface temperature. Okay. I think I should also give you something. Let me see. I don't know whether I should give you a masala dosa or a lot of things are there. Maybe I can give a mango to you. Not mankura. We have actually mankura in Goa. It's a very costly thing, so I won't give you mankura there.
Thank you.
So not only that, I hope you might have heard about the thing called IPC, the intertropical convergence, where the southeast trade winds and the northeast trade winds meet or converge. So this is around 10 degrees south, the month of January to February. And it goes on 30 degrees north. So what is around 10 degrees south? It moves almost 30 degrees. Migration of intertropical convergence zone around 10 degrees. This is the area of maximum cloudiness source when they meet or converge. This area is highly cloudy. And that shifts this around 10 degrees south, 30 degrees north. This is important. I just want to stress again these three things. One is the SST, the convergence of the intertropical zone. Because another thing is winds. Because the moisture does not come on its own. It has to be, in fact, monsoon itself is actually means seasonal reversal of winds. Don't think it as a rainfall. It actually comes as an Arabic word called monsoon. Okay, and basically because of the rain. But for the common man, it's a rainfall which is in. He is not bothered about winds or water. Ultimately, he wants rainfall for agriculture or for giving agriculture. So monsoon basically means winds. So winds are also very, very important, which needs to be transported. You can see this is what we call a low level jet. The months of peak monsoon months of July and August, you can see a strong low level jet. In fact, it was actually done by Joseph, P.V. Joseph, who was my guru. Like, he was at IMT also, he was in various places. So he and Joseph and Raman, they discovered it. Unfortunately, just like even now also, there was actually bias. There was some person who was actually, British guy who was sitting in Kenya called Finlater. So his name was actually, they put Finlater, also should have been called as Joseph and Raman Jet. Unfortunately, so my professor Ramohan used to say, fine later, not Finlater, it's fine later. So he did it and he got the name as Finlater Jet or whatever it was. So now we have some results are done. Publication, that's what you must finish of polish. So he added one more still polish of polish. My own guru, let me say, it's actually Dr. HLCB. I was referred for a program only metallic videos. If the resources of the land get exhausted, especially like the cobalt, nickel, magnesium, and copper. He wanted me to look at things which are lying around 4 kilometers down that sea. So he recruited me way back in. So we were looking at actually polymetallic nodules, especially again metallic nodules, including a sharp tooth to the geologic part. You can see that. It was actually, and for a long back there was a guy Sridhar. So you can see if you are free and all these days, I can tell you. Because in Africa has to do with or maybe polymetallic nodules, that's why I didn't give. So we can give next time next issues. Next time. And so over here, yeah. So in India, there's Western Ghats and Western. Yeah. Fabrics could be in super food directly Eastern Ghats could be. I'll come to that a little bit later. Because I got that point. So basically, I'll come to that. I'll show exactly. So basically, you can see this normal thing. When you are talking Western Ghats, we will look at the Western Ghats already. We'll ask you post the question back to you. Okay, that's not bad. See, this what I'm talking about 1.5, 1 plus millimeters can maybe some less maybe that, but mostly below. Yeah, mostly below that, 1.5. Okay. So don't worry, this is what I'm talking 5 kilometers. Oh, I think I have clearly written here. See. And this is the window, January, February, this one. Yeah, this is a question which I was coming to you. If you look at over here, it's a very, very interesting thing. This is actually rainfall during summer months. If you look at over here, this is like say Rajasthan gets only 10 centimeters of rainfall annually or whatever. This you might have studied in the 8th or 9th or 10th standard. But if you go in on the same latitude band, there are places like say Cherrapunji and now, which get thousands centimeters of rainfall at the same time. Where is 10 centimeters in Rajasthan, 1000 centimeters in Cherrapunji? That answers your question. Which thing is there? Top of. And as you correctly said, we have the Western Ghats here. Places from Kerala up to Mumbai get around 300 centimeters of rainfall in Mumbai. Pune hardly gets that because Kerala, yeah, reverse it, from the inverse it. Mumbai and all these places get almost a good amount of rainfall. Pune hardly gets that rain. Same is the case here. No doubt in Rajasthan also we have Virgin plus. Its orientation is different. Not monsoon. Here also we have actually Kasi area. So these lines correspond to these are ISO heights. Rainfall. What's from Bangalore? Bangalore is not much. Don't worry. They are all right. Bangalore is all right. I'm not worried, but they are all right in the sense. See, so that way we should be worried in Goa. I always give a comparison of actually the states of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Kerala gets 300 centimeters of rainfall. Kerala will take 3 times a day, and the rest of the water goes actually to the Arabian Sea. Tamil Nadu gets 100 centimeters of rain. They manage to be very judicious. For drinking, they use one water. For washing, they use another. So different waters they use for different parts. Management of water is very, very important. Another important thing is rainwater. Now, actually, the solar infrastructure actually can. We never bother. Only people in the home. As I said, they are more into their tank of together. They are stored there. Nobody does the rainfall fine, fortunately for us. I think it's actually free resource arrangement. Kerala people also think that way. There are national to take out the water. Anyway, so this you can see lots of rainfall over here. You have hardly, and here also you can. And there are so yeah.
You measure the wind velocity at 1.5 kilometers.
Let me give you something. I don't know whether I should give you a muscle dosa, mango, or muscle dosa. There are muscle dosa. Nobody. There's a lot of middle ways also. Chutney bhi hai, sambar bhi hai. So I'll come to that a little bit later. So each monsoon is like unique like each one of 2024 will be different, 2025 will be different, 1900 will be different. Each year is actually different. So, but it is different in three important aspects. The one is the Kerala is the gateway for the monsoon. Okay. So you get actually the monsoon onset which takes place over Kerala. This is a paper which has been published in the Krishnan, Jane Papa, student, lot of different criteria, 7.5. Another important thing is actually what we call an active and passive situations. Important. We noticed that recently it was a Sulojana garden. It's no more. She expected a couple of days. Wife of the garden. She was earlier at the ATM that she went to sell for a sense. She was working as a she also did a lot. And then used in so at least three important things if you remember. That is what makes each monsoon unique. One is the monsoon. Can anyone of you tell me which day did monsoon onset takes place in 2025? Those who got the prices can keep quiet. Let others answer. India.
29.
Different. I say 27, 29. Huh?
June 1st.
Don't first answer. That's a mean onset date. All the answers are fortunate.
Around the 17.
No. It's too early. Now you have to keep on bargaining now. Or I should bring a couple of window. Monsoon, sir. It's one of it. I will keep on one day. I'm telling one day for mine. So until now, I tell it's actually 24th of May. It was one of the earliest onset dates it has happened. And 25th it came into Goa. It's not Maharashtra. Then it covered the entire Maharashtra on 26th May. And stayed there. It stayed. It didn't progress in the western. Yeah, I'll come to that in a minute. So just remember that these are so many things which you should. And there are so many countries in Krishna. They have published one of forecasting manual units, etc. I'll come to that in a minute. So another question was actually, let me say, among subjective criteria. Then my great guru, his call is actually like Monsoon man of actually India, as well something Joseph. He made actually an objective criteria and published because ultimately we follow publish or perish. So you have to publish every year, you have to publish almost you get your own major hours. Not only publish, Siddiqui used to say, publishing standard international journals, visible journals. So we also follow his advice. Justly. So we like he said that strengthen the depth of the vessel is in a box. It should be more than 6 meters per second up to a height of 4.2 kilometers in the vessel. And also open long radiation and 850 is it should be high. And also rainfall. So basically it's a wind, then the convection and the rainfall. All these criteria are met when we call it actually onset of Kerala and the other. So this is the mean onset date you can see. And as he correctly mentioned, these are the some statistics of the onset. You can see the mean onset is actually first of with the earliest onset date taking place on 11th of May, way back in 1918. And the most delayed is actually way back in 1972. You can see there's a difference of almost with the earliest onset date and the most delayed. And also we have a standard deviation of about 8 days. And this is how the monsoon progresses and usually covers by the 15th of June. And you can see this is how the monsoon onset has taken place over several years. This is the mean onset date. Just to show you what one particular year, for example, in 2010, I don't know how many have actually remember 20 Homes here when we had actually Uttarakhand floods or maybe Kerala not suppose. That year the monsoon covered entire yes upon 16 days, 1/6. Can you imagine? It was supposed to cover by 15th of July, covered in 16th of June. I thought this year also it will beat that record. But unfortunately, it stood over Maharashtra. I don't know. Somebody has actually stopped it. Maybe the oceans might have played a role. I don't know. Maybe some Dharna or Hartal or maybe it might have spent or the ocean or land. This has actually happened way back in 2030. Covered entire India. There was another year, that's 2002. It took 76 days for it to cover. Very 16 days and Paris 76 days. Mind you, it covered only the 15th of August. And it's almost, the monsoon is almost getting over. Just imagine. So where will you get the rainfall in Gujarat and Rajasthan? Mr. It does not reach there. Forget about covering or what. This was actually a very heavy drought area. It's 2002. In fact, there have been a lot of papers in Sulojana Gadgil, Rajiv and Madhav and then but basically what to say that that's what makes the monsoon very interesting. And again, role of oceans and whatnot, which is again and again. I don't want to stress on. And this actually for this year, water crystals again, they just show you. It covered Colombia 24, Goa government 25th, and southern parts. See, it reached from 26th to 15th of June, it just stayed in Maharashtra. Even it progressed only 16th of June. Just imagine almost almost 20 days it stayed. So that's what it's not actually the same thing. So and if you cover the India region subcontinent by 29th of June. I thought it will cover fast, but things were not conducive. That's what I said. Things unless the things are conducive for the monsoon, it may not go. So maybe some oceanic things or whatever, whereas the eastern part was okay. So say
Define like what is the meaning of progress? Like monsoon is progressing means the rainfall suddenly increases. That's how
the rainfall comes at a state of that region.
when you say that it is monsoon has started.
Okay, I'll explain to you. It's a good question. See, when we say monsoon has come over here, in fact, it covered the India, this one of Kerala and which maybe Karwar, it just stopped off Karwar on 24th of May. Did I give you anything? No, no. I think I should give you something before answering. I'll forget. I should not forget. Maybe I'll give my own professor's cover since you asked about this one. Monster of monsoon. This is the design was what thoroughly and the was my video. And from Pune, ATM director. He has worked extensively on that. So as you said, when you said this area is covered, you started getting rains of that region. So it started covering in reached actually the southern almost covered, and it covered the Goa in 25th or 7 points of Maharashtra. And
Pre-monsoon shower.
yeah,
We have pre-monsoon shower.
yeah, that is different, sir. Okay, that's another excellent question. Pre-monsoon showers are actually sporadic in nature. Once the monsoon starts to sustain, it goes again and again. Good question. So maybe I should give you a mango or masala dosa, or I can give you some. Let me see flowers or let me see the I have a Kalangut. I have a Kalangut beach also. It is again this is a Kalangut beach. You should be. Can visit Kalangut beach, one of the longest beaches in Goa. So basically, when you say pre-monsoon showers, it's actually completely different. That happens in the month of March, April, and May. They are highly sporadic in nature and highly localized. Whereas monsoon showers, actually, when you say monsoon showers, cover the larger area and then it continues. As you said, there are August monsoons. I will go to that little bit. I was thinking of that in showing you. And the criteria itself we have actually say August monsoon. So the August monsoon is a very it's actually tricky. Don't think that monsoon is actually everybody's cup of tea or coffee. Okay. I would say anybody who's ready able to predict monsoon correctly, he or she will get 10 Nobel Prizes. It's not easy. Not only that, earlier director of IITM, Mr. B.N. Goswan, along with the help of actually Shailesh Naik was the Secretary of Ministry of Finance at that time, we have invested 400 rupees thing called Monsoon Mission, where anybody in the world can actually go at it and then try to predict. So UK Met Office, US, See, predicting the things in the middle latitude and polar regions are much more easier as compared to the tropical region. Things are much more different. Anyway, we won't go into that. So I just wanted to show you this. So the things are totally different. The pre-months shows in this. So basically, what happens? This again is studied by. So you can see, a pentad. Pentad is actually 5-day week. So 40 days before the monsoon, the southern parts of their have strong convection. And that shifts actually to South China Sea, where pentas, 25 or 20 days goes from there. And again, it comes actually to southern parts of Arabian Sea. And during peninsular to the monsoon, there are strong convection. So this is how the seesawing connection between the southern and China Sea into the Arabian Sea, and this is the concept. Again, just wanted to show you the evolution of actually things that.
Yes, sir. So is this stalling explained in terms of some other data?
Yeah.
This stalling soon near Bombay, let's say.
Yeah.
Is it explained by some other data? We are
It's too early to say, sir. Now I have got expansion of. It's too early. This actually 2025. People can actually look at it. See, what we call is actually higher resilience. The stockage over here, say for example, from 26th of May to 15th of June, we call it actually high dust. Even here also you can see 24th of May, it just came in to actually just south of. Next is actually next stop is Madgaon. Then come to Madgaon. So higher resilience has to be looked at. Maybe in terms of ocean, maybe in terms of atmosphere, maybe we have actually remote forcing teleconnections happens as well. That's why I said we went to Antarctica this week. Antarctica saying that Antarctica ice cover plays an important role in scaling, which in turn play an important role in environment. You can find we have actually connection with actually what happens in the Pacific Ocean. The complex Pacific Ocean, we call it El Nino, La Nina, the Indian Ocean, we have Indian Ocean, therefore, and Atlantic actually North Atlantic Coast Station, Pacific Decadal Station, n number of parameters. Good old days, we had actually 16 parameters to predict the monsoon trends. When Gaurikar was actually the days discovery, he made from 16 it became 8. So there is a lot of improvement. Things have been changing or improving with the time. Yeah.
Is there a number like cutoff like average rainfall like in millimeters to declare that monsoons arrive?
Okay, that's actually you cannot say anything as I said. You have to have actually 2 consecutive days with the millimeters, maybe 2 millimeters or more. It should be more than that. That's actually objective criteria. That is actually set by another and then later ratified. Anyway, good question. You cannot just say there is a monsoon or has occurred. Or let me see what I can give you. I don't know whether I have to give you Taj Mahal or we have Taj Mahal. What I don't have topics. So everybody's job of actually prediction. So we also joined actually because this prediction of monsoon has actually a lot of importance from economy point of view. Let me say it's not Nirmala Sitharaman plays important in economy. It's the monsoon machine. Monsoon is bad. Margaya. Okay. Who is that? No, not she. Anybody else who is actually the finance minister cannot have room. Because agriculture is gone Margaya. So it is important to know that actually the economy is drinking water, nothing important, natural record. It's very important. We don't know. In fact, Kerala had also, especially the other areas, northeast areas, they have actually power is very important. We are a power starved country. We have so much of coverage. So basically, we were also in this. So I am a great fan of remotely sensed data. So I have been using satellite data. Here our study done by Joseph and Pillai. They did actually 3 subdivisional areas and looked at actually the rainfall. So I used actually a parameter called no station climatology and extended their study for 23 years from 1979 up to 2001. And got it published in a journal called IUCAA Remote Sensing and Geosense and Remote Sensing Letters. I follow Marshall and we should publish in good standard international journals, not any predatory journals or not house magazines. I'll put it that way. House journals also we have. We have actually Mahasagar, thing and stuff. You should publish. It's what my guru, Hassan Siddiqui used to say. Because you don't want to go into the review of all those things. You should be doing it. So there's some more of objectivity to send up. they are so good. Okay. So we published actually. So you can see 6 penthours in advance. So this is great. Mind you, it's in the satellite. Let me tell you, getting data from IMD is actually next to impossible. In good old days, now things are slowly improved. Now that getting data in old days was actually tough. Now they have actually put into this one. Data is a very, very valuable. Now they are put into various websites. So we used to use this. Satellite, yeah.
What is the right day?
Okay. This is actually penthours. 15 penthours, almost 75 days in advance, 50 days in advance. So here it's almost 30 days in advance. We have pre-monsoon rainfall peak. This is onset, MOK. So almost 6 to 7 penthours before the monsoon onset. That's a clear pre-monsoon rainfall peak. MOK means it's rain. We use that to predict the monsoons. And I had actually very good success. And getting impression temperature is not easy. Also let me tell you. Because it's actually rigorously this one. And in geoscience,
Is that separation fixed? 3 months from rainfall peak and
it is not fixed. It varies. So, but then here it's almost 6 to 7 penthours. It depends upon the history. Each year it is different. Premiums will be figured. Use this actually as a we say from the 1917 to 2001. We use this and then try to predict each year. Each year we get and that concept and we have a good match. And it was flexible significant. Almost they want completions. Did I give you anything? Maybe I should also give you something. Don't worry. I'll give you one. Raj Mahal only. Not that I gave you another question, sir. But nobody asked so far for that. Everybody should aim for actually now. So we did that. Further to that, we also because we get enough so much of rain. For that rain to happen, we need enough moisture and so much of moisture is needed. Just precipitates like cats and dogs. Actually, outside that's actually whenever two British people meet, first thing they talk is about weather. And we have a lot of weather things. So there was a gentleman called UC Mohanty, who was actually at IIT Delhi, later he went to IIT Bhubaneswar. He, along with meteorologists, peers, RP peers, they did and they said that 15 days prior to the monsoon, the entire area that is actually built up of moisture. That was the Mohanty peers theory. We said that 45 days in advance. Maybe because of the pre-monsoon time also, it also starts building. Months it will be, especially the month of May. It starts building now. So that's why you get so much of moisture. So you can see almost 40-45 days in advance we have actually that. Again, using satellite data. As I said, I'm a great fan of satellite data. I've been using it. We have done a lot of work especially with ocean. That's why I've said this. So again, we publish theoretical and online climate change.
so what these things exactly satellite is what? Image or something?
Okay, excellent question. I don't know. Have you anytime gone on a ship, sir? Boat or a ship? So we have actually two different types of satellites. What is what we call a geostationary satellite inside etc. Then we have a polar orbiting system. We are doing all things. Like say we have in oceans tropical rainfall mission. So there are different types. Basically what we use actually in this is actually from DMs, Defense Meteorological Platform. Can use this. We have used this data from DMs, which I actually made from the fires. Actually, it uses variety of parameters both in the atmosphere
And what is the different?
yeah, basically, we have different sensors on the satellite. Yesterday or day before, one gentleman had given a talk here, Vipin Kumar, was mentioning about the spectrometer. We have actually both active and passive sensors on board. It can be about 600, 700, 800 kilometers from the mean sea level. Next, inside, they have actually this one. And we call it VHR, very high resolution radiometer. In here, we have actually a number of sensors. And questions are we have actually must scanning radiometer. This one. We have now. Some days back we have actually NISA. ISRO and NASA had actually joined this into the space. Satellite can actually and it will be this and each satellite has sensors. can work on active remote sensing, passive remote sensing, visible. Anyway, I won't go this. It is these sensors which detect at brightness temperature, either on ocean or on the land. Then we have actually atmosphere and between. So basically, what we do is actually we see to the data. Whenever there's hot sunlight, we collect data. It can be on 6 temperature, it can be on winds, it can be on waves, etc. And same time we have brightness temperature. So we derive product. And that product from that's what we validation. Validation is something like that. And this can do the C2. So such C2 is done n number of regions all over the world. Same thing. We done a basic portion and large portion, then compare. And then we make a finished product, and that's how we put it like by us. The finished product. After validation, that's everything is done. Now let me come to this active and break cycle. We have a class. Even break, what we want to say is actually, if you look at the 122 days, starting from 1st June up to 30th of September, every day does not rain the same way. Some days it rains like hell, or some days there's hardly a rain. You don't see hardly rainfall, it's what we call a break monsoon condition or a weak monsoon condition. When it rains like hell, it's actually active monsoon condition. This is a picture, just again prepared by Ramesh. Again, he was at IMT Pune. Again, I can very clearly show entire Indian subcontinent there is hardly a rain except Tamil Nadu in the foothills of Himalayas. So the foothills of Himalayas and Tamil Nadu get observed amount of rainfall. The rest of the country we don't get any rainfall. Such a situation is what we call in monsoon condition. Okay, so you can see. So we call it actually active, break, and this one. Again, we wanted to see what role does the oceans play. So this was a study done by me and Swapna. Currently she is earlier she was at NIO. Currently she is actually at IITM. You can see there's a strong convection in terms of actually a depression or a low overwhelm. Sex moisture into the peninsula of India. It says that it's actually at about 1.5 kilometers or 850 hectopascal. This brings a lot of moisture into the peninsula of India and you get good monsoon conditions. The convection over here shifts from there to the equatorial region. What should have gone to the peninsula of India avoids it, but you get lots and lots of rain. So basically, the problem of is again and again one of those. Color is actually nothing more than full radiation. And gyros are actually winds at a rate of about 1.5 kilometers. So the oceans play, yeah.
Why there is so many depressions in Bay of Bengal?
Say it again.
Why there are so many depressions? Number of depressions more.
Yeah. That was a study done by me or my PhD student, psychologists, etc. Good old days we used to play more in the systems in their account. But recently, there was a study done by the psychologists. If you remember 2019, we wrote a nice article in the Times of India. 2019 called the year of the cyclones. We have 5 cyclones in the Arabian Sea as compared to 3 in the Gulf. Because as we see, more and more of warming is taking place. And Indian Ocean is one of the old oceans as compared to the Pacific Ocean and the Ocean. So, this is one of the Arabian Sea system. Then we have one down. Come, I'll give you something better. Maybe I should give you a nice picture taken in Antarctic machine. I don't know what to give in Antarctica, or maybe I'll give. So we can come here. This is a picture I have taken from actually a hotel from Bristol to Bath. In our house days, we didn't have a draw, so we can come here. So this is a picture taken 1 kilometer above the from Bristol University Island to Bath. Hotel in UK only. Taken a picture of actually Bristol.
But is there any correlation between air flow, air currents, and its currents in this?
No, not necessarily. See, air currents are at height of 1.5 kilometers of currents can get the surface of the surface. Yeah. See.
So does a Madden Julian oscillation have validity?
No, oxygen. Enjoy Good question. I don't know how you think about fringing. Now, as local friends, fringing plays a very good thing. It starts actually from on-track acting. It starts. Excellent. Maybe I don't mind giving him a anomaly book. He deserves it. Read it thoroughly and pass on to other people. This is an inspiration for not only you, okay, for so many people. This is the first question. I asked every student to give me name of 5 women's names. They look at me. Everybody knows Mary Curie, but nobody knows of Anna. I have a small video. Let me see. I don't know whether I have time. I'll show it a little bit later. But before that, let me ask you a simple question. Since we are students, can anyone of you tell me? Those who got the prizes can keep it. The main difference between weather and climate. Let only one person ask. Answer. Okay. Okay, fine. I'll come back. I don't mind giving me a masala dosa or mango. Or I don't know whether I should give you. Let me see. What is? Is that an entire? The doctor photo? No, I am fully agree with Asim sir. Let me see. Doctor or born. See, I don't mind giving the glaciers. All the penguins are exhausted. But they are here. Sorry.
No, thank you.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So in this, you are showing wind and moisture content both.
No, not moisture content. That is actually oil. Thermal radiation. That's actually the top of that. So we get clouds which are happening. One is actually, yeah.
It's going to be a situation where let's say in 2 years the winds are same, moisture content is could oceans affect that? How?
Oceans are the major topics of moisture now.
The conditions are same.
See, winds is, I would say, predominant. For example, just show it here. Since the most of the moisture is coming actually from the ocean, instead of coming over here, if you imagine it comes from Africa or something, it brings right here. The dry area is what? Actually, Africa or Sahara go to this area. Along that, it's some moisture which is supposed to go into the India. We have actually basically called it what temperature decreases with time. And we have actually what we call it inversion. We call it temperature inversion. So instead of decreasing, it increases. Okay? And there's a dry air coming over it. More air. You won't get moisture into the peninsula. Absolutely. It happens. Basically, it depends on the wind. The wind will stop from actually from here. The ocean, southern Indian Ocean. It does not go here. Just imagine it's from Africa or from this area. You have it. There's actually dry air coming, which suppresses some moisture, and you get actually temperature inversion. Dry air coming to that is of no use. And if it hits the Western Ghats or around, what's the name of it? Good. So I should give something somewhere. I don't know what to give you. Let's see. Anyway, I don't mind giving you the first director actually, and Dr. N.K. Panikia is an oceanographer. He was actually into IIOE and so on things. Yeah. So as I said, we keep on publishing. We follow. So again, this is actually there are so many criteria actually for this one. So this one, myself and we had actually project or research assistant for Oma for this side. This we publish in. We always like AGU or AMS, American Meteorological Society or American Geophysical Units. This actually GR. So we published, and it was actually very well received. A year when there was no breaks, we always look at there are different criteria. We said that it should be in the peak monsoon months of July and August. And we took all India rainfall. Please remember, all India rainfall is totally different from other states. So here actually all India should be a minimum of 3 days. And the peak monsoon months. This is 1 year there was hardly any break, 1908. And this is the 2002, where we had reached almost on 15th of August covered. It was on the work. So you can see we had a break of long break of 34 days from 1st June to 3rd of August. One of the most long breaks in the century, you can see. So this is actually which we published, and it was nice paper, small nice paper.
So this integrated rainfall has decreased quite a bit in 2002. Where it
No, not integrated, sir. This is actually daily rainfall. Also,
and just add them up and add the helping
Yeah.
It is much smaller. So it's
Very
very
true. There are so many papers published involving solar than Ocean is one. Illinois is one. Anyway, I don't want. I have another seminar on that one exclusively. 2,000 million one.
These are two extreme examples.
Exactly. Yeah. What is it is true. At the end of the day, extreme. I'll come to that a little bit later. Extreme events. It's much more difficult to predict. If you are actually in places like say Santa Cruz or anyway, I'll come to that a little bit later.
Between the years. So we are talking mostly about data that comes during the monsoon.
Yes.
Is there any correlation between the weather, the summer that is prior to the monsoon?
Yeah, that's what concerned. But pre-monsoon showers also. That's actually March, April, May.
The behavior of monsoon is not correlated to.
Yeah. See, that's what I said now. Monsoon mission is actually 400 crore rupees budget. It's actually very forget. So each monsoon is unique. Forget about each monsoon is unique. The monsoon, after the monsoon stayed from 26th of May up to 15th of June in Maharashtra. Why didn't progress it only when it is 16th of June? I don't know to be frank with the ocean. You need to analyze. Somebody analyzes within the models or maybe ocean data or a number of things. They have to look into it.
The trend of having hotter summers.
See, there are so many things. See, basically, one thing for that is actually the population pressure. We get less and less of land use land change pattern. If you go to Lebanon, go to Canada, Goa, there is more and more concrete is. We have urban heat island things that are happening. So there are any number of things. It is not just purely land.
Purely coastal, right? It's
No, nothing to do with the coastal zones. Indeed, or Indian coast. I think I have given you something. So most of the people, especially the people like say Garfield and Joseph, they look at the core monsoon area. That's what I mean, core monsoon area, which is followed by IMD. Because this is the belt where we get actually maximum of agriculture. UP, MP, Gujarat, places are actually there. Here we are right, we don't have Karnataka has a little bit and Tamil Nadu. This is what the core monsoons do. And that's the area where get the mean climate also. I won't go into that. This is actually for I did actually a little bit earlier. We had actually a good active spell over here. Another important thing is what we call the things which happen over the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Convective systems like the depressions or deep depressions, etc. Again, this was actually done by another edition. This actually he has prepared a tracks of cyclone storms, etc. This for the months of June, July, August, etc. July and August, you can see they travel along the central parts of India and go to the northern India. It is these things which bring mix of rainfall over the central and the northern part of India. June and September are okay, but this year we didn't have much. So I usually keep on writing. And today there's a girl called Nida Sai. She's actually Times of India Goa edition. She was asking why July rainfall is less over Goa. And Goa, they consider themselves not a part of India. Like I don't know. I'm a Goan by the way. Nothing against Goa, but they consider us there's some special or whatever. I said, ma'am, this is actually if you tell and nothing we cultivate over Goa. So then Matka, that's actually game. It's actually marked at this one. And maybe Kajifili and what I didn't actually say more. And still they talk about like this. What is it? There was hardly any. But actually, 2024 we had the let's say the maximum amount of rainfall in the state of Goa. Month of July had maximum in 124 years. That's an article I wrote in Times of India and was published by Nita. So let me see. I have to go. Today is 31st of July. I said I have not got a chance to look at that. Let me look at that and tell. Because we always go over the numbers. So this is actually important. Now we did a study long back. We said that in 57 years, is the eastern equatorial universe is actually warming. It warmed by almost 1 degree Celsius. Oceanic warming by 1 degree Celsius is not a joke, unlike the land. So this area warmed by almost 1 degree Celsius. This is the spatial distribution, and this is the temporal distribution, and it is a statistical significance almost 98 or 99%. So it is the same area where we get actually the convection. We have more and more of breaks. So again, I published actually in IEEE, geosensor remote letters. So warming by about 1 degree Celsius is actually very, very important. This is a landmark paper where we said the whole of the ocean and publishing it actually in a good journal. Maybe I should have published in Nature. Maybe I didn't know that about it. So this was actually independently shown by Joseph and Sabine. Sabine Vagaries in IITM. He looked at the Central Indian Ocean. This gentleman was a Joseph. When I published my first paper, I was using satellite data. I was very curious. He asked me, Ramesh Kumar, how reliable is the satellite data? Mind you, I published the paper way back in 86, almost 40 years back. Sir, I said it's reliable because this paper had actually sent it to publish actually the 13 Indian economists on plant reasons. He said non trust satellite data. And there was another reviewer, Jagdish Shukla. He's called the authority of actually on Monsoon. He's sitting in US. So he said that Ramesh Kumar, you will use. I used 2 years of 79 and 83. You use 2 years and make a hypothesis. Later, after 2 years, you will make another hypothesis and keep on publishing. I kept quiet. The only guy who supported me was actually a French guy called Daniel Cadet. Incidentally, he was actually a remote sensing guy. So for 3 years, he was. After 3 years, only 1 day, he got, thanks to my, you should not say guide or. But nowadays, Professor Joseph is only using satellite data. He got converted to satellite. Because 86, he was actually Ramesh Kumar, how like the satellite data is asking. Now he is winning. The thing is, he is my good friend and US, but then see, again, this is actually he is using trim sea surface temperatures. This is the peak monsoon of July and August. You can see advection of sea surface temperatures of 26 or 27 coming to the paper. This plays a very important role actually in breaking this very, very important thing. So I again and again wanted to stress the role of actually cold. And
Name of the reviewers.
say it again.
Name of the reviewers.
That's again a million of some of not to tell you. Okay, still words of place. I got actually the paper. Actually, I found a teaching for let's see. I got the paper dated for almost 3 to 4 weeks. Can you guess? Whether to record or can be X, Y, or Z. The thing is, paper dated for 4 weeks. I don't know. Very criminal. Whichever the reviewer is. And let me call him there are two reviews who I wanted was actually one was Satyan Krishnam. I call him as actually the final word, and the other guy is the one was actually very just. People have lost notions, sir. And most of the people, we were just discussing in a very, very narrow case, whether it's astronomy or oceanography or meteorology. And I always feel the authors never judges. I know. The gets impression some very interesting. When I was simulating paper theory, this is what is very important for the person, for the many. Anyway, but so this, as you said, I came to know. No, I don't have anything against Joseph or Jagdish Shukla. Joseph sir is my greatest guru. Still, I meet him. And I have motivated him to buy a laptop. And mind you, he learns the latest things. I don't know whether it's the 90s. He learns Python, he learns almost everything and he was at the age of 90. He has his own laptop or whatever it is. And he gives me ideas for quick serves and we get a nice cup of tea, samosa or whatever. Anyway, so this again to do with actually soon having circulation. Here what I want is actually traditional wind circulation we have. But we have a secondary warming over the equator. This changes the whole scenario. Like say, anyway, we will speed up. For the first time, we looked at actually, I was just mentioning here, we have monthly. We wanted to show the role of actually a 10-day period. So for example, you can say monthly data which is neither representative of the month nor representative of the season. So we started looking actually using the FIAX data along with Peter's user. Again, we took 2 years. 1981 actually a drop here, it was good. So this was again published, you can see. I classified every 10 days, 1st to 10th of July. So within a month, we had actually 3 decades, not decades, decades we called. July and August, I did. This actually this one evaporation. Just show you. This evaporation of the southern Indian Ocean. The value is multiplied 10 raised to 13 kilograms per day. This is the whole area. 30 to 120 degrees, 50 to 40 degrees. This is a drought or deficit here. So almost doubled or maybe increased substantially in 88, just actually normal of this year. Another important result which we have found is actually prolonged breaks are increasing. What I mean by prolonged breaks, there are two different types of breaks. Breaks which are actually 7 days or less. I call it actually short duration breaks. That's type 1. And the type 2 breaks, that's a long breaks which are actually more than 7 days. This for the month of July, this for the month of August, this is the total. If you look at the last column, it's the percentage of type 2 breaks to the total. And each of the decades you can see 1950 to 60. And you the last one is only from 2007. And 2009 was actually a deficit or a drought year. So this percentage you can see substantially increasing. Then the percentage of prolonged breaks are increasing, which is actually a graph. This is I should give you a nice cover. Again, the oceans I'll bring. I don't know, I should have given a. You want actually cover or Antarctica or maybe I'll give oceans I'll give. This is the first oceans play an important thing. I'll show you later. So you can see that. And this was another paper published again with the IMD person. It's actually Dr. Shivananda Pai was a climate research leader. We looked at the breaks for more than 114 years, starting from 1901 to 2014. This is for the entire this one. For when we supplement books, we can see the different durations. The blue one is actually active emissions. Most of the active conditions are of 3 to 4 days duration, whereas for example, normal duration. And this one, we come to this one. Another important thing is actually what we call extreme rainfall or intense rainfall event. Rainfall is a discrete parameter. Please remember it's a discrete parameter. If it is raining on IUCAA, it may not be raining in Shivaji or maybe elsewhere. The first example is this. For example, if you look at over here, there's a place called Santa Cruz. It's actually very close to the airport, and there's a place, there's a meteorological observatory. It's only 15 to 20 kilometers away. So you can see one place you had actually almost 1 meter of rain, 94 centimeters. Another place 37 centimeters. So it is very difficult to predict, and everybody wants to blame IMD. Everybody wants the rainfall from their doorstep. Doorstep is actually, and they blame IMD. Hey, what's good now? Hey, now, hey, what is this? No, no. It is difficult. First of all, we don't have that much resources, and we don't have this tools. It is easy to blame everything. We will do that. Anyway, government does 400 crore. It's not a small amount. It's a monsoon mission. And we kept it open. So पूरे वाला पूरा इंडिया में दिया पूरा world. India में तो हमें sale थी उसमें. So no, they should not say that. Invited. This was for me invited Indian and one self-share process. Still nobody would. So they would see. Tomorrow that the UK Met Office does not stop it. Let's not say that. We were told everybody the programs when let's when then get it. Then tell us. So this is actually just the opposite also has happened. Colaba and Santa Cruz, the other way. Again, this is I have taken Joseph. Now again coming back to Professor Goswami. He has done a lot of studies. Before coming to this one, he had actually published, he was at IAC. His study showed that the low and the moderate area, this central India region, where the core monsoon zone, it shows actually decreasing trend, whereas the heavy rainfall events are more than 10 centimeters in a day, or very heavy rainfall events. These are showing increasing. So I will try to explain in a very simple fashion. Out of the 122 days, some days you get lots of rainfall, and there is a break or a prolonged break. Then there is again intense rainfall, again a break, again a rainfall. When you look at the total amount of rainfall, it's okay. But there are a lot of breaks and prolonged breaks in it. So it is like 7 days rainfall or 10 days rainfall falling in one day, or even 1 month rainfall falling in one day. So when you look at the total, it looks okay. But it's the spatial and the temporal distribution is very bad. This is actually very bad situation. It's like what I always used to say. Anna has done book Hartala. Every day what we need is to be a breakfast. From day, then we need actually our dinner. Finish book. spatially and temporally distributed. But if it happens 7 days to 10 days rainfall like this, when you took the total, it looks okay. But then the distribution is actually very, very different. I won't go into that. The last of this one is actually quantum of rainfall. Actually, the India Meteorological Department itself was started plans to test facts of Banga. Okay. So that's what actually starts happening then. And there are things like say, can any of you tell me what is El Nino or La Nina? I have all the videos with me. I have not shown any of the videos. If anybody says it correctly, he or she will get. And the anomaly. El Nino and La Nina. Fast, fast. All are rapid fire. Show something. Already got yes. I can give something.
Okay, so La Nina is when there is heat over the Pacific Ocean, which causes the sorry, I'm saying the opposite. La Nina is when the sorry, El Nino is when there is heat over the Pacific Ocean and it causes the vapor to rise and then condense somewhere over like Singapore, Thailand, or something like that.
If I had an Antarctica rock, I would have given you. But anyway, I don't know much. What did I give you earlier? Anomaly. No. Let's give it another nice picture. We call it equator crossing ceremony. I was keeping Neptune over here. We do a little bit of ragging to the people who cross the equator for the first time. This is me as a king Neptune. The queen is also a man only, don't worry. Okay, good shoot. Yeah, I love. Whenever is the stop, there was another gentleman called Ashok Gangu. It was actually at IITM. Now he's shifted to Central University Hyderabad. He coined another term called Mudo in Japanese, but similar but not the same. He made actually just like Indian, made actually Mudoki. And this is actually a phenomenon which is actually done by Professor Goswami. He was at IIC at that time. That point of time, I was visiting IIC. So he says that Ramesh Kumar, we got a paper published. It's very excited. So Sajid Hamid, Goswami, Devendran, and Yamagata are actually a nice paper on Indian Ocean diving. Yes. This again, I have taken actually from the monsoon on time. How the things have actually changed. And how does the monsoon this one started with El Nino, La Nina, normal, and all this. You can see most of the El Ninos, you can say this one with actually deficit years. You have another slide. So, but if you look at the 3 decades, 1909, recent 3 decades, we had actually there was, whereas if you look at 2000 to 2009, 249, all were actually deficit. And again, 2014. So basically, we were thinking that is actually wet, dry, epoxy, but it didn't happen that way. Again, the diffusions. What happened in 100 years? This again a study that Guha in 1920. Rajivan was actually here. Then he went to IITM director, he went to NARL, came the secretary. You can see. Kerala, that's a bad story. Here we can understand. We have less and less of issues coming over here. We are all in a good place. Pune is all right, Karnataka is all right, Goa is all right. This is actually good now. Again, the season wise. Yeah. This one I have taken Ramesh Kumar. What he said was actually analyzing 130 years of data. El Nino is not a sure bet for deficit. Now, 11 years there was no El Nino, also there was deficit. Because if you look at El Nino, there is normal or excess. So, if there's an El Nino, don't think that it's going to be deficit. If there is no El Nino, also it can be deficit. So, the study done way back in 2000, 3 years. Ramesh Kumar, he was in IITM. Then he later went to World Meteorological Organization, Geneva. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop here. We can take a couple of questions if you have, or else yeah. But yeah. Come.
So I wanted to ask exactly what is the physics flexible component, because there is like sunlight coming and warming the oceans.
Yeah.
And
Come here. I'm explaining exactly physics. You don't want to go to this slide.
so, I mean, I can imagine that there is like cloud cover developing, and then that blocks the sunlight from heating up the oceans and so on.
See,
Is it really the wind or the oceans which are playing?
I would say oceans, and not only the oceans. We have actually a strong project going on, what we call crowd seeding experiments. We call it Hypex, etc., which is happening in IITM Pune. That's a lady called Dr. Tara Prabhakaran. She does one. In fact, governments of Maharashtra and Karnataka have been investing huge in cloud seeding. But the problem is actually, even if you seed a cloud, the cloud may not precipitate over that area. You cannot tie down a cloud to the ground. The cloud will move according to its wishes or whims and fancies. So government of Maharashtra invests, Andhra gets. Government of Karnataka invests, Tamil Nadu gets. Or Goa government gets. Or it goes to Arabian Sea, or it goes to Japan. So only your investment remains. Okay, continue.
Let's see.
I wanted to give you something. Come.
He wants an answer. He does not want to.
He's not continue.
I mean, let's ignore all these human-made.
Yeah. Okay.
In the earlier times, I mean, there used to be vegetation and all these things.
Yeah.
So why did monsoon settle down into a pattern that I would imagine that all the conditions remain the same. It's fine.
No, it is not remain the same.
Going
You are totally giving a misleading thing. Which condition remains the same? You tell me now.
going around the same. That remains the same.
Sir, the temperatures are changing.
From where is this coming?
Sea surface temperatures are changing. Winds are changing. Humidity is changing. Vertically,
So where is the sea surface temperature now getting changed? Is this because of the clouds?
no. The phenomenon of climate change. See, that's what I said. No, if you look at, okay, I think you have not got my point. If you look at Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, no. I showed that Indian Ocean. Let me tell you, the Indian Ocean is one of the warmest in the whole globe. We have actually recently written a paper with Gobika. We said that it's not a mechanism from outside. There's an internal dynamics which is happening in the Indian Ocean, and the southern part of the Arabian Sea is warming. It's one of the warmest in the world. Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean is one of the warmest in the world.
It should come from the south. Finally, it should come from the south.
Not necessarily. It's from the sun. No, sun is a major thing, and I showed in the first slide that 93% of the energy is ocean. That's only one part. Actually, there's a lot of things. I don't know how much you know. Ocean, but see, advection. Advection expresses ocean. Also, can come to subsurface. There are a lot of processes which are happening in the ocean media, sir.
No, I'm thinking, what are the fluctuations like?
These are so much fluctuations. Yes, that thing. Yes, as it is. You said it's so great. Yes, which are actually transported into meditative out of yes. Okay, but this keeps on changing here, and there are so many mechanisms which very myself to be frank, even though I have worked in NIH years, never gone below the sea surface. So sea surface, subsurface, air sea fluxes. See, there are two things. One is actually evaporation. That keeps on changing. Okay, we call it latent heat flux. That plays an important role for and even though there's a cloud, will be the atmosphere. If it's not atmosphere, need a substitute. Come anyway. There are n number of issues.
In the meantime, Sanjit can ask.
Maybe I can point him. This is a demo of yeah. Do you want to ask a question or somebody else?
Sanjit again.
That seasons etc. happening at the scale of year or
Just a
see the thing is that the temperature is how it changes. The sun is there doing Earth at a speed of 24 hours, then the it's going around for
You people are talking in astronomy and star.
times over which the ocean temperature changes.
Oh,
And that's getting coupled to the
very good. That's a fantastic question. See, yesterday I went to a geological place. Geological equipment of actually Ferguson, they talk in terms of actually thousands of years or 10,000 of years to maybe 100,000 years. The geological timescales. And you are talking about maybe astronomical or what. Here we talk about a day of this. So basically things do change. Season wise, month wise, days. SSTs usually prior to the monsoon, they start building up. And we get actually what we call a mini bomb in the southeastern Arabians. But once the monsoon onset happens, because of the winds, the temperature substantially drops. We have actually monsoonal cooling, we say. And we have actually a lot of when it is El Nino. El Nino is actually warming. La Nina just opposite. When some sweet and come and then even for actually fishing is well.
El Nino is like over 10 years period.
No, not 10 years. It can be 2 to 3 or maybe 2 to 6 years periods.
Okay. Few years.
Few years. So it will not be the same. Just opposite is La Nina.
Normally oceans are all of that scale. Like,
Not necessarily. Necessarily. For example,
ocean should be
yeah, it can vary. It can vary.
few months.
Few yeah.
Scale. I was thinking.
I mean, I don't think we have some problems. Minimum samosa and chai. Minimum sampling is
So remind people there is a.
stamp exhibition process. Unfortunately, I don't have it.
So can I interrupt?
You can ask the questions you the
I think it will be more interesting to discuss outside because this stamp collection etc. is also you have to come outside and there are.
A chai and samosa will always refresh of you. More questions.
So let's thank Dr. Anuj.
Let me thank the director of IUCAA, Asim.
No, I am not the director of it.
Director
I was very pregnant comma. Pregnant comma.
Asim, Samir, and all this. Nizam also. Yeah. I would like to thank everybody. Thank you.
What we have studied will get
Oh, we'll talk over outside. Bahar, I'll talk. Okay.
These are the questions. Like, let's start from something which I understand. Then one by one we will ask different things. If you go through entire university, it's like I don't want to hear things. And the
Past 3 4 weeks.
so it was just super. Then
I would say
what? Can I answer
that's
that?
early. And ends for is this the week that
After study done because of kitchen goes one. Exactly that period of the monsoon. Anyway, let us talk our cup of chai on a samosa. Okay, don't mind giving you something.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Come on, that's fine.